And you know what? Let's give some grades out. 9-4 bye week. I give grades after every game just based on the performance in that game. Let's take the totality of the season and go position by position and finish up with coaches. We'll give a letter grade for each one. We haven't discussed this beforehand. This is raw and real in real time, Dad.
Okay.
Grading. Quarterbacks.
Okay. B.
Okay.
Purdy finally really played a good game.
Mhm.
Before yesterday, I think he was a C, Iggy.
Mhm.
As you know, I really like Mac Jones. I would
Mhm.
say his play was A minus B plus. So if I bring the two together, I think it's an aggregate B, which is
I
a
think
good
that's
grade.
fair. I might have said B plus, but I think you made a good case. Neither one's really had much of a running game this year. They do have a great tight end. B's fair. B plus. If
Fair
you're feeling
enough.
generous.
Yeah,
Okay.
fair enough.
Okay. All right. Let's do running backs.
Oh, C.
Yeah.
Now I want to talk a little bit more about it.
Mm-hmm.
When we say, first of all, are we including the fullback when we say running backs, or he's a different
if he
category?
moves the needle for you, sure.
No, let's leave him out because
Yeah.
I find him irrelevant. I don't even want to give him a grade.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're talking about running back, halfbacks, running backs, whatever. Christian McCaffrey is no longer a special or even a particularly good running back, but he's still an excellent player. Is that
Mhm.
fair?
Yeah.
His coming out of the backfield, he snakes through the line of scrimmage and he gets free. And once he has some space around him, he's still quick, agile, not that fast, quick and agile, and he can get runs after catching the ball. So
Mhm.
he's a very effective football player, but he's not a particularly good running back. So, and the other guy doesn't play enough. So I'm going to say a C with an asterisk that McCaffrey is more than just a running back. But as a running back, he's a C.
I think that's a pretty generous. I think it's a pretty generous and fair grade right there. I mean, they average as a team 3.5 yards per carry. That's second worst in the league. That's about as bad as it gets. And like you could blame the offensive line, but this is essentially the same offensive line the Niners have had for years. They've never had a good offensive line, but they've had really good running games because their running backs have been great at in the past. Now they're not anymore. I mean, Brian Robinson Jr. is okay. Christian McCaffrey, they both seem subpar in terms of like turning around and handing off. Yes, Christian's a hell of a receiver, but they can't run the ball. Suck at running the ball. So, C, yeah,
and that could hurt them later on.
I think it could as well. How about wide receivers?
Okay, hold on. We're talking about Juwan Jennings, Ricky Pearsall, Kendrick Bourne, but he doesn't really play anymore.
Nope.
Of the three, I think he was doing the best. So Iggy, I'm going to have to say Iggy, C plus.
I might go lower. I might go D. I mean,
I won't
this
argue.
might be the worst position group on the Ricky. He's been hurt. I understand, but he hasn't done anything since he's come back. It seems like he'll have a really good game once or twice a season, and other than that, he deals with injuries and he's running around. And then Juwan Jennings, he'll make a play here and there, but it seems like he'll a lot of the interceptions are when they're throwing to him, and he's not a particularly dominant player, and he's starting fights. Not that that really factors into this, but it doesn't. He's the best they got at wide receiver. They were supposed to have Brandon Ayuk, and that didn't work out. D.
You know, Iggy, I won't argue with. I will not argue with that D.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's too bad. Okay. Off tight end.
A plus.
A plus. Yeah, it is A plus. It's just too bad they don't use the other tight ends as well because they have the best tight end by far. I think their backup tight ends are pretty good. I thought Jake Tonjes was pretty good when Kittle was out. They don't use him anymore. It'd be cool to see the Niners use all of their tight ends and have it be more than just Kittle. But Kittle alone is great. And what's interesting about him, he's a great blocker. They don't throw him a ton of passes, but whenever it seems like whenever they're really stressed in a game, like they're losing, they go to him and he makes the freaking play. He's clutch. Like there was that 2 minutes when they were losing to the Browns at the end of the first half. And what they do? They threw to Kittle for 3 yards. Boom. Back on top.
Yeah. And Iggy, he's very hard to bring down.
Yes.
He's a strong guy. I gave him an A+. I might lower it to an A from an A+ in that he missed a lot of games.
True.
And maybe I would take that away. But Iggy, he's a solid A. And there are certain players I consider a pleasure to watch. I consider him a pleasure to watch. I used to consider McCaffrey a pleasure to watch, and he still is partially. And some of the time, their quarterbacks, Mac or Brock, are a pleasure to watch at times.
Yep. As long as they have George Kittle playing like this, they got a chance every week. He's that good.
Yep. Yeah.
Offensive line.
Okay. Iggy, I'm afraid you're going to think this is high. I'd give him a B. Now, I know you think they're not opening lanes for runners. I think they can. I think the problem is the runner. And they've protected their quarterbacks pretty good, Iggy. Or pretty well, if I were actually speaking English.
That's fair. So you're giving the offensive line and the quarterbacks the same grade?
I guess if I'm giving them a B, yeah. Well, what do you think about the offensive line?
I think it's okay. I think it's a C.
A C.
I see what you're saying, though. I mean, I think they're partially responsible for the weak run game. It's not just. I think Christian doesn't have like the second gear or the next explosiveness anymore, but he also gets hit in the backfield a lot. That's true. And there haven't been a lot of sacks, but that's one because Mac throws the ball quickly and Brock's pretty elusive. I mean, I would say a C.
Okay. On these kinds of things, I'll be guided by you.
You don't have to agree on everyone. You might be right.
I have no rights.
Defensive line.
Oh boy, defensive line. No pressure on the quarterback, and I think they're so vulnerable to the run. Now, these guys, C-.
I felt that way after the Rams and the Cardinals game because they got eviscerated by the Rams. There was no pressure, and they let Jacoby Brissett do whatever he wanted. But I feel like the last two games, they've actually had pressure against Bryce Young and against Shedeur Sanders. Maybe it's just because those offenses aren't good, but then the Panthers beat the Rams. I don't know what to think. I feel like this defensive line is improving. You got Cleveland Farrell, who's been on the team for a month. He has 4 sacks in 4 games. That's impressive. Bryce Huff's a pretty good player. The rookie Alfred Collins is pretty good. He's improving. The guy they got the week before the trade deadline, Keon White, is pretty good. I kind of like this. I would say B-.
Fair enough.
B-.
Fair enough.
They gave up 8 points. This defense is surprisingly improving, I think.
Well, they got a pretty good coordinator. Iggy, have you ever talked to Cleveland Farrell?
Yeah, absolutely. He spoke after the game. He speaks often. He's very mature and eager to talk. He was the 4th pick in the draft in 2019, like 2 picks after Bosa. So he had a lot of expectations and pedigree. He didn't live up to them, but he's still in his 20s and he's playing great right now. It's kind of incredible.
So your interactions with him have been impressive?
Absolutely. Smart, engaging, mature, professional, like great.
I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. Okay. Where are we going now?
Linebackers.
Okay. Iggy, I'm going to ask you for your grade because they come in and out. You know more than I do.
I mean, if there weren't injuries, it'd be an A, but like a C- or a D. I mean, D. Winters isn't great. Curtis Robinson's the 3rd string guy who's starting. Luke Gifford is not good, and he starts. C-.
Okay, fair enough.
had so many injuries. Like yesterday against the Browns, they couldn't stop a screen. And I feel like when Fred Warner's on the field, he's the guy tackling the guy catching the screen pass, and they don't get much out of it. So C for them, C minus. Defensive backs.
Okay, again, you know more. I really like them. I want to give them an A or an A minus.
Yeah, I was gonna say B plus or A minus. They're pretty good. I mean,
Yeah,
it's not like they're they have the benefit of a dominant front seven. They're just covering.
yeah,
They're not giving up big plays. They're not giving up a lot of
right.
touchdowns. They're pretty good.
So we're pretty close on that. We both
Agreed.
really respect them. Yeah, yeah,
The best part of the defense.
yeah.
Special teams.
A,
A plus.
A
They're
plus.
incredible.
Yeah.
They're on their third kicker. He's good. Their kick returner has been on fire the last month. He's given them a lot of short fields. Coaches.
Okay. Let's go one at a time. Um, let's start with Salah. Iggy, I have to give him an A because he's lost so many players, and yet they still play well. Now, they've been playing lately against some really bad teams, but that's not their fault. The teams are on the schedule. So I'm not going to take that away from Salah. He did what he had to do, and he's done it with compensating all over the defense for guys he's lost, important guys. I'm going to say Salah is fabulous, Iggy. I love to watch him work, and I love to watch him on the sideline when they show him on television, animated, full of power, full of smarts. Iggy, this is an A coach, and I agree with you. I think he almost certainly will have a head coaching job next season.
He inherited this secondary that's good. Lenore, Renardo Green, the two safeties. He inherited those four players, and that's a nice start. Everyone else he added this season, this offseason, during the season. I mean, all the defensive linemen are new, the linebackers are new, the nickelback is new. He had to figure it out. And he didn't, I mean, it's not like he had it week one. It's still evolving. And I think I was impressed by how well the defense played against the Browns, even though the Browns suck, and how well they played against the Panthers. I mean, all of a sudden they kind of do have a pass rush. They can stop the run. They did a pretty good job against Quinshawn Judkins, who's a very good rookie linebacker. I mean, he could be the coordinator of the year. They've given up the 8th fewest points in the league, the Niners defense. Without Bosa and Fred Warner, it's incredibly impressive.
Yeah. So I give him an A. And now I'll come to the head coach. Iggy, in the past, you and I have been critical of him. And even this season, sometimes I feel he passes when he should run. He runs when he should pass. I mean, all this kind of stuff. He's wedded to his system, and he's not as flexible intellectually as I've been taught by intellectuals to be. I'm going to give him an A, Iggy, for what he's had to deal with his quarterbacks, with what he's dealing with his running backs, which is partly his fault. The guy's 9-4.
The wide receiver who hasn't played and won't play ever again.
Yeah, the wide receiver. And he clearly has there's been, we don't know the extent of it, but some people in that locker room are disgruntled.
Yeah.
He's worked around it. He's kept the team together, and currently it's a winning team. So, yeah, Iggy, without hesitation, I give both Salah and Shanahan A's.
I agree. I think it's interesting. They've pretty much been above reproach this year, just exemplary. The one questionable thing Kyle did was bring back Brock too soon, but it's really hard to blame him if Brock said he was okay and ready to go. And it was okay because Mac Jones ended up winning 5 games, so it didn't hurt the team. Yes, I would give him both A's, and I think with Kyle, it's really going to be, again, how you finish, because he's had good seasons before. He's having another good one. The league seems wide open, and it seems like there's no reason why this team can't win the Super Bowl. I mean, it's not – they do have a lot of injuries, but it's not like the defense fell apart without Fred Warner and Nick Bosa. They're doing really well. They have a great special team. The whole team is good, and let's see how they finish.
Yeah, and I'm going to praise Kyle in other ways. He brought back Salah.
He did.
I mean, that was smart. He didn't burn, neither burnt any bridges. They needed each other. He brought him back. And I'll tell you something else I admire, and this may sound contrary to my being a journalist. All the stuff with Ayuk, clearly he knew about it from Shanahan from July, but he never said a word. And again, as a journalist, I wish I had known. I wish he had said a word. But as a coach of a team, I would understand if you don't know, it's not your business.
Yeah.
This is internal stuff with our team. And he very politely always sidestepped it. And we never really understood what was going on, right, for months. And it was not his business to fill us in. It was his
No.
business to be polite and tell as little as possible. And I actually respect that, Iggy.
There were little glimpses, and you're right, he wasn't gonna say it, but that one time last year when I was at practice and I got Brandon Ayuk wearing the wrong shorts, I feel like there were probably a lot of little examples like that. We got a little peek at Brandon Ayuk essentially knowing what the line is, walking up to it, and then just putting his foot across while looking at Kyle being like, "What are you gonna do about it?" That's what he
Yeah.
did that day, essentially, and I bet he did it more than once, and I bet Kyle Shanahan eventually was like, "I'm out."
Well, even that day, Kyle got angry.
Yep,
He made him
and
change.
Brandon acted like, What's the deal? Why do you care?"
Yeah. So, again, I'm happy to give Kyle an A up to this point. The
Yeah.
season isn't over for any of these people, and these grades can change. I would call them midterm grades, but we're way past the midway point. So we're calling them bi-week grades.
Yeah, I mean, Kyle bringing in first, Kyle getting rid of Jake Moody was clutch. If they still had him, well, he's doing all right, but they needed to get rid of him. And then bringing in Mac Jones was one of the best moves of the year. Like, look at the Minnesota Vikings. They're a joke because they thought they didn't need Sam Darnold and they let JJ McCarthy be their starter and their backups Carson Wentz, who everyone knows is washed up. Kyle didn't do that. I mean, maybe they shouldn't have extended Brock Purdy, but they kept him and brought in Mac Jones. So now the Niners we talk about quarterback rooms. They might have the best one in the league. Now, I'd rather take Patrick Mahomes and you over a quarterback room of Brock and Mac. But you see what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah.
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 No,
Yeah.
they've been actually very savvy in what they've done.
Yeah.
And we were criticizing them for not making moves at the trade deadline to get a pass rusher, but they got Cleveland Farrell.
Wow. I mean, that trade for Sky Moore looks like one of the best trades of the year. He's really playing well.
Yeah.
Steven Draper says the problem with the run is the center. It's all Jake Brendel's fault, but he's been on this team for a long time. Maybe he's gotten worse. Ike says, "Miss you, Mr. Cohn. You look good."
Thank you, Ike.
That's the coach.
That was Isaiah, right?
Yeah, that's right. AK Roll 65 says the team decided to let the BA story leak at that time for a reason. So what's the reason?
Well, okay, hold on. They may have done that. I don't know. It was Michael Silver who did beautiful reporting as always. I don't know how that came about, so I can't say they let it leak, but it's a plausible hypothesis. Clearly, they wanted to, if that's the case, they wanted to make Ayuk look bad.
Yeah, I mean, they avoided it this long. Maybe they thought there was some way that he would get back on the field, play, be professional, and not petty. That's not going to happen. So they got to tell the story eventually. So they did it this way. Possible. Tyler says, I think when it's all said and done, the Niners are going to end up in a deep playoff run and end up regretting they did nothing at the deadline. Well, if they don't go all the way, you could always go back to that.